Or should they say, okay, we'll take this card, and then you get from your bank a $39 over-the-line fee? That's one of the big questions in Washington, and the real question is, should they write to every person with a debit card and say, you can either opt out of this over-the-line protection, or you opt in? Should they require you to make the decision? Today, if you don't tell them you don't want this protection, you got it, but it costs you $39 every time. If you have a debit card, you go over the line. Now, here's how tricky these banks are, okay? I hope everybody understands this. Let's say you have $1,000 in your account, and you have some deposits coming in. Let's say a $100 deposit coming in. And you also have some charges that the same day that put you over the line. What they do is, even if that deposit comes in at the same time as your charges, or even before, they hit the charges against your account before the deposit, or they drag their heels on clearing that deposit. Why? If that deposit was in your account, then you wouldn't have an over-the-line fee. But if they hit the charges first, then you have an over-the-line fee. In fact, every time you go over the line, they're hitting you with $39, even if you go over the line by 50 cents. So we got to, again, as CFOs of our own U Inc., we got to get a good understanding of how these credit cards work, how these debit cards work. You can't let them take advantage of you, and they will, even under the new law. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Even if your savings account is attached to
your debit card? Yes, if you go over the amount that's in your savings account. You mean as a backup to your...
Right.
No, this only applies if you exceed the limit that's either in your checking or savings account, whatever's backing it up.
All right, so if you have not enough in your checking, they go into your savings account.
Yeah, and then it's only if you exceed what's in your savings account. They may charge you a fee for, that's true, if you use a backup account, they may charge you a fee. I don't think it's a $39 fee. Yeah, it's a nominal, it's not nominal, it's less. Yes?
I want to say it depends on which bank you're at, because I know that where I am, they don't do that for fraud purposes. If someone is outspending your card, they don't want to dwindle your savings.
Say it again, if someone's outspending their card?
Like if you lose your debit card, and someone goes and they start making all these purchases, they don't want them to be able to tap into your savings account by having it automatically transfer over.
So what will they do? Will they refuse to charge?
You have the option. I mean, I work at a bank. You have the option of whether or not you want to opt out,
Right.
as they call it, or if you want to allow yourself to be able to overdraw your account.
And if people, so did everybody hear that this bank where this woman works has you have the option of opting out, whether you want the protection or not. But what happens if the bank doesn't hear from a person? Do they automatically cover the charge and then charge them a fee, or do they not cover it?
Well, typically you're asked at account opening whether or not you want to
I see.
opt it out.
Okay.
You have the option from that point on. But there's all types of ways that you can still overdraw on your account whether you're opted out or not.
Okay.
And it has to do with the clearing system on the debit cards, whether or not the purchase is PIN-based or if it's clearing the account through like MasterCard, and how much the merchant is actually holding
Okay.
on your account.
I don't know if everybody could hear, but it is a very fair and a good point. Every bank has its own procedures. I'm giving you generalizations. I'm giving you sort of, not necessarily worst case, but what I perceive most banks do. This particular bank's a little more sensitive to, yes?
Doesn't opting out on a credit card detrimentally affect your credit rating?
No, I don't believe it does, and we're going to talk about credit scores and that. I don't think opting out is
I had an incident where I had a credit card and they changed my payment due date, and I just had it automatically being paid out of my bank account.
yeah,
I didn't know that the payment date had been changed.
okay.
And I got a late fee and they bumped my interest rate up, and I called and they said, well, you can opt out, but that's like closing down your credit card but agreeing to pay it, and it affects your credit rating.
Well, if they effectively close down your credit card, I don't know if, we're going to talk about credit score. Hold that question for a minute. Let's talk about it now. Who knows what FICO is? F-I-C-O. Couple? it's sort of an acronym for Fair Isaacs Company, which is a company in the United States that rates each and every one of you. Each and every one of you has a 3-digit score attached to your Social Security number, which says this person is a responsible borrower, not a responsible borrower, an average borrower. How many people know your FICO score? Not bad. About half. FICO score is pretty important. And it's important not just because of credit, because depending on your FICO score, it tells you how much you're going to have to pay to borrow money, whether you're getting a mortgage, a car loan, a credit card. Also, employers now are starting to look at FICO scores. Employers can look at FICO scores and they can say, well, I'm a little worried because this person has a low FICO score, and therefore they may not be that responsible. So it's really important to know your FICO score, but it's not so easy. It's not free. What is free is your credit report. Has anybody here ever seen their credit report? Cool. This is a very, very Ewing kind of group here. People understand these things. Your credit report is like it's like a sort of a report card, a grade card of all the stuff you've done over the last couple of years. And the FICO company and some of these credit reporting companies take this history and they create this 3-digit score. I think it goes from 350 is the lowest to 800 is the highest. Is that right? That's your FICO score. I think the average FICO score in the United States is about 700, 680 to 700. So if you're a good borrower, you're somewhere in the 700s, and if you're an okay borrower, 600s, and you're in 500, you're so-so risk to these lenders, and you're going to either not get credit or you're going to pay a lot, meaning a high interest rate. Okay? So you want to know, now you can get your credit reports for free, and this will be in the handout I give you. There's a website, the government has set up a website, and it tells the 3 big credit reporting companies, which are Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. They have to give you your credit report for free once a year. And if you go to this website, it's www.annualcreditreport.com. It'll be in the handout I give you. You can get your credit report. You can't get your credit score for free. Usually you have to pay for that. That's about $15. And I got to linger here for 1 minute because there's some real serious scams out there. These companies say, we'll give you a free credit score. It may or may not be what's the most commonly used, your FICO score, but they're always upselling. Do people know what I mean by upselling? Upselling means, hey, I'm offering you something over here that looks very reasonable, maybe even free, but before you know it, and sometimes without even knowing it, you've signed on for something else. And the common one with credit scores is you've signed on for like a monthly monitoring of your credit report. And they trick you into believing you have to have this, because if you don't have it, somebody could steal your ID, your Social Security number. You know what? I've read all the articles on this. I don't think you need credit monitoring. Does anyone know the most you can lose if your credit card is stolen? What's the most you can be responsible for? $50. Right. So it's not, if somebody steals your credit card or steals your ID, it's not a huge risk that you should be paying $15 a month for credit monitoring.
Is that true that when you request your credit report too often, it gets deleted?
Yes. The question is, if you're asking about your credit report too often, it is not true if you're asking, but it's true if somebody else is asking. The question was, does it affect your FICO score if you're asking for your credit report? No, but it will if lenders are asking, because FICO, remember what FICO is, it's a score which tries to evaluate, are you a good borrower or not a good borrower? And if they see a lot of lenders checking your FICO score, they think you must be borrowing a lot of money, even if it's for the same thing, and that can affect your credit score.
What about if you continually receive in the mail opportunities to get a lower interest rate on another card? In other words, transfer your existing balance to get a lower rate for
Right.
APR, zero financial.
For like a year or something.
Does that go as a negative impact on your credit rating, that you took, seized the opportunity to get a lower rate for, 6 months to a
No, the only thing that might affect your credit score is when the new credit card company pulled your credit report, and it's nominal. It's not significant.